dear students, welcome again to our English program. Today, inshallah, we are going to have a general revision based on Unit 7, 8 and 9, which is considered a general revision based on the half of the curriculum. Today, inshallah, we have to concentrate with each question in order to answer well. Okay, let's start with our English first question in the paper exam, which is general dialogue between two persons. The first person is called Ahmed, and the second person is called Hani. Okay, this is a dialogue between Ahmed and Hani who are talking about a school project. A teacher asked Ahmed and Hani to do a general or a specific question, or sorry, a specific project about something, which will be the bamboo. Okay, we know that bamboo is a very important plant that panda eats, and it is very tall plant. Okay, let's start with the questions. Ahmed said, "Hello, Hani." Hani said, "Hello, Ahmed." Of course, it's a greeting. What are you doing? Ahmed said something, and Hani asked a question after that. Ahmed said, "It's about the bamboo." Okay, Hani asked another question, and Ahmed said, "Because my teacher asked me to do this project." Here we have to concentrate with the word because. It's a key word to answer this question. Okay, Hani said, "What do you think of this plant?" Okay, Hani here is asking Ahmed about his opinion of that plant. After that, Ahmed said something, and Hani said, "I agree." Okay, here we are having agreement with the opinion of Ahmed. "I agree with you, it's a very useful plant." Ahmed said, "Do you need any help?" Here is something like offering help. ازاي نعرض المساعدة على الأشخاص اللي محتاجين مساعدة. Okay, let's start with the first question, or the first question that we need to answer. Hello Hani. Hello Ahmed. What are you doing? طبعا يا ولاد احنا عرفنا من خلال المحادثة اللي دارت ما بين أحمد وهاني. He is doing a project about the bamboo plant. When someone asks me, "What are you doing?" لو حد قال لي ماذا تفعل, I answer with I am. Here are you will be I am doing the thing that I'm doing at the moment. I am doing a school project. The question here is, what is it about? Ahmed wants to know what this project is about. What is it about? Ahmed said it's about the bamboo. The bamboo, as we said before, it's a very tall plant. It's very important. It's eaten by pandas. Okay? The question by Hani, the answer by Ahmed, because my teacher asked me to do this project. على إن المدرس طلب مني إني أقوم بعمل هذا المشروع. Here we have the word because gives me the reason. So I must ask with why are you doing it. وخلينا يا أولاد نلاحظ إن إحنا بنستخدم طول المحادثة أو طول الconversation دي the present continuous tense. زمن المضارع المستمر. Why are you doing it? Because my teacher asked me to do this project. What do you think of this plant? Here I'm going to give my own opinion. Whether I think it's great, it's important, it's useful, any answer. I think it's a very useful plant. We can replace useful with great, with important, with essential. Okay? I agree with you. It's a very useful plant. Do you need any help? Of course, if I need any help, I say yes. But if I don't need any help, I say thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay, another dialogue between Baher and Omar, who are talking about their dream jobs. It's another type of the question between Baher and his friend, who are talking about the dream jobs, the job that I want to do in the future after my graduation. Okay? Here, Baher said, "What job? What job do you want to do when you are older, Omar, after your graduation, after you finish school?" Omar said something, and Baher asked Here we knew that a journalist is a job that Bahir want to do, a journalist. Omar said something and Bahir said, where does he work? Of course, here we're asking about the place. I will answer with a specific place. إجابتي هيكون مرتبطة بالمكان. Omar said something and Bahir asked another question. Is journalism an easy job? لو نلاحظ هنا يا ولاد, it's a question with auxiliary verb which is. It's not the main verb. It's is journalism is as an easy job. طبعا لو احنا متفقين هنقول yes, لو احنا مختلفين هنقول no. After that, Omar said, no, working as a journalist isn't easy. My father travels a lot. It's a disadvantage of being a journalist. هنا بيقول لي بعض العيوب المرتبطة بمهنة ان انت تكون صحفي. You are traveling all the time. You don't feel that you are stable. Okay? The question, after that, Bahir said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. Okay, let's see how can we answer the questions. What do you want to do when you are older, Omar? Here he is asking me about my dream job. Okay, I said, I want to be a journalist. Why, Miss Dua, we said journalist? Because he said journalist is in whole the topic. طول المحادثة دي we are talking about journalist. Okay, why do you want to be a journalist? Here he is asking me about the reason. وفي المحادثة اللي فاتت اتفقنا if we are using why, we sometimes use because and sometimes we use to. In the answer, because my father is a journalist. I want to be like my father. I want to be a journalist too. Bahir said, where does he work? Here we are talking about the place. Of course, we know that journalists work in newspapers. So, the answer, my father works in a famous newspaper. Newspaper, the place where journalists work. Okay, asking about the journalism as a profession, is journalism an easy job? Here يا ولاد زي ما قلنا is very important key word. We say, no, working as a journalist isn't easy. Here is a disagreement, not agreement. في عدم اتفاق في الرأي. Asking a question and Bahir said, I want to be a doctor. I want to be a doctor. So we must say, what job do you want to do when you are older, Bahir? Because we are asking the person in front of us who is Bahir. Okay? The third question, also between Heba and Haneen, who are talking about pollution. This is another topic. The first topic was about a school project, and the second was about dream job, and the third is about pollution. Here we have different dialogues in order to expose two different questions. Okay? Between Heba and Haneen, who are talking about pollution. Of course, we know that pollution is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous issue. Okay? Heba said, what are you reading, Haneen? Haneen said, space. Heba asked a question, what is this article about? The article. Also, the word article is very, very important keyword because it will help me to answer the first question. Haneen said something and Heba said another question. And Haneen said, we can stop pollution by planting more trees. Here Haneen is giving us a way to reduce or to stop pollution. Heba said something and Haneen said something also. Heba asked a question. Why don't we ask our teacher for help? Here, if we don't know what to do, especially in order relating to projects and questions that we don't know the answers of them, we should ask an adult, whether my father, my mother, my brother, my teacher. So Heba is giving her an advice and asking her to ask her teacher. Okay, Haneen said something. So let's start with the first question. What are you doing, Haneen? Of course, it's in the present continuous tense. We should answer with I am. As we said, are you is given to I am reading an article. Why did we use article? Because it's said in the second question, what is this article about? So it's an article, not a book, not a novel, not a short story. Okay, it's about pollution. So the article is about pollution. The question here that Heba asked, how can we stop pollution? How can we stop pollution? Because the answer was we can stop pollution by planting more trees. Okay, Heba said something and Haneen also said something. Why do we plant more trees? Here Heba wants to know the reason for giving this specific answer. Why should we plant more trees? Haneen said because trees absorb carbon dioxide and keep the air clean. Of course, plants and trees are very important to our life and to fresh our air. Why don't we ask our teacher for help? Of course, Haneen said that's a great idea, and also I can say I agree with you, that's a great idea, that's a good idea, I definitely agree. Any word or any phrase that express agreement, okay? Let's expose to another type of question. Read and complete the text with words between brackets A and B and C, or whether it's some word is given to me in order to complete the spaces that I have in the question. Okay, here the words are very important. I must know their meanings. Okay, some words are traditional, weaver, crops, learn, learned, and fabric. Okay, let's see the question. There are a lot of space arts in Egypt. I space about the traditional art of weaving at the school today. A space uses a machine called a loom. It crosses threads under and over each other to make space. Here, يا ولاد, we can note that we are talking about a specific topic which is related to how to make clothes from fabric and weaving. We discussed this before. So here there are a lot of space arts. Of course, if we note that weaving is very traditional art. It's not new or modern. No, it's not modern, it's traditional. I learned, of course, it's in the past simple. I learned about the traditional art of weaving at school today. I learned and finished learning. A space uses a machine. Here we are talking about the person himself, الشخص اللي بيستخدم this machine. The machine is called a loom. Who uses a loom is a weaver. A weaver uses a machine called a loom. It crosses threads. Threads like string, and it's like خيوط in Arabic, okay? Threads under and over each other to make fabric. Of course, we use threads to make fabric that we use to make clothes at the end. Okay, another question. He gives me keywords like on, in, the botanical gardens, zoo, school, library, and museum. Let's see the question. There are many places to visit space Egypt. Of course, we have Egypt as a place which is very known to everyone. Of course, we have a preposition comes before Egypt. If you are interested in animals, you can visit space, the space to see plants. You can visit space if you like reading. Of course, we here have a word related to reading and books and so on. You can visit the space. There are many statues in the space. Of course, statues and monuments are found in a specific place. Okay, let's start with the first answer. There are many places to visit. Of course, before places we have in Egypt, in Cairo, in Luxor, and so on. If you are interested in animals, you can visit of course, we have the zoo. It's related to animals. To see plants, if you want to see very different types of plants, you can visit the botanical gardens. If you like reading, of course, reading is related to library. There are many statues and monuments and objects related to history. Where can we find these objects? Of course, in the museum. Okay. Here we have a different type of question. It's related to vocabulary and grammar structures and the vocabulary that you exposed to the whole units. Of course, we have some choices in order to help us. Choose the correct answer from A, B, and C. The first question says, we saw some beautiful trees in the space garden. If you can remember, we have just answered this question. The space garden, we have a specific word here, comes with gardens. Botanical gardens, passenger gardens, smart gardens, or elderly gardens. Of course, it's not a passenger, it's not a human, it's not smart, it's not elderly, because elderly comes with elderly people, smartphone, smart person, and so on. But it's botanical gardens. Botanical gardens. Second question is, Alexandria is a big space city. Of course, Alexandria is a space that is near to the sea. So we have here Alexandria, the city which is very beautiful and many tourists come to visit it, is related to sea, and it's of course come with a specific word. The city on the Mediterranean Sea, is it deserted or farm, coastal or desert? Of course, it's a city which is related to water, so it's coastal. Coastal city, مدينة ساحلية. The third question is, they could open the gate like a door as it was closed yesterday. The synonym or the same meaning of the word closed is, here يا ولاد, closed is an adjective. So we have the same part of speech. Is it opened? Of course, opened is the antonym, the opposite, not the synonym. Or even cooked. Of course, closed has the same meaning as locked. It means that it's not open. The third question, the earthquake destroyed a lot of buildings in Turkey and Syria. It was a very dangerous and destructive earthquake. Here we have the word destroy. Destroy has the opposite meaning of, it's a verb that means to damage something, to damage. Okay, it has the opposite meaning of protect, appear, move, or remove. Of course, destroy means damage, but the opposite is to keep. If I don't find keep, it's of course protect, to save something. Okay, protect. Rewrite, here we should concentrate with the word rewrite. Your composition or essay or paragraph, the prefix re means to do it. When I say, please Ahmed, reread this text. Please re-clean the room. Rehe means next, again, first, or last. Of course, the prefix re means to do something again, for another time or a second time. Of course, it's again. Re means again. The next question, if something is space, it costs a lot of money. So it's not cheap. Of course, It costs me an arm and a leg. It costs me a very portion of money, a very cost of money. Is it cheap or easy or expensive or even difficult? Of course, the word expensive gives me that I cost or I spend a lot of money on something. So it's expensive. Costs a lot of money means expensive. And the antonym is cheap or even inexpensive. An is a very high hill. Okay, very high hill. Is it oasis or mountain or even coast or valley? Of course, hill, something like mountain, but mountain is very tall, very tall. So very high is mountain. Happens when Greenland becomes a desert. Here we have a very important word, which is desert. Earthquake, desertification, flood, or even drought. Of course, if the land becomes desert or if the land becomes not fertile, we say it becomes deserted or its process is called desertification. From the word desert, we have desertification. Okay, the next question is the suffix space can turn the word environment into an adjective. We have the word environment and we want to make or to have the adjective from this word. We add al or ly or illy or ing. Of course, we have the word environment and we don't say environmentally, it's not an adjective. Ing also, it doesn't make sense. ILY, of course, it's not the correct answer. So we have environmental. So the correct answer is AL. The upcoming question related to grammar. Here, grammar related to the structure that we have through the 3 units, 7, 8, and 9. This type is related to the structures that we exposed to during the lessons. Okay, this is related to completing the word. Complete the sentence with the correct form from the word is or the words, it's maybe singular or noun in brackets. Okay. We have the island surrounded by deep blue sea. Of course, if we note that the island, هنا يا ولاد, the island is singular. Here we have a passive form. It's not active. So we have the island must be followed by is, and the past participle from the word surround is surrounded. The island is surrounded by deep blue sea. Here it's, as we said, not active. It's a passive form. Okay. What kind of habitat is the area around the Nile Delta called? Here it's not cold. Of course, it's cold. Also, it's a negative, it's not an active form, but it's, as we say, a passive form. We have is at the beginning of the question. What kind of habitat is? So it must be followed the past participle. التصريف الثالث من الverb call is cold. After that, if I be you, I would travel this summer vacation. Of course, we have, this is the second condition of if. So if, it must be followed by I or he or she or any subject, followed by the second form of the verb, the second form which is in the past. But here, if you say, if I was, it's not correct. Miss Dua, please, we use was with singular pronouns. I know that, but here we have a very important note. عندنا ملحوظة مهمة جدا يا ولاد بتقول where must be taken or chosen with any type of pronoun, even singular or even plural. If I were, if she were, if we were, even singular or even plural. If I were you, I would travel. Of course, this is a type of advice. The next question is, we plan spend the weekend in our village. Here we have the verb plan, very important word. الverb ده مهم جدا يا ولاد. We don't say we plan spend, we plan come, we plan say no. We must say we plan to spend, to come, to dress, to eat. So it must be followed by to, and after that the infinitive form. The next question is, if we have more time, we would visit our teacher. Of course, it's also the second type or the second condition of if. If must be followed by subject, and after the subject we have the second form of the verb in the past simple. So we have, if we had more time, we would visit our teacher. It is the second form of the verb have. The next question is, if there are more mangrove trees, there would be fewer floods. Of course, also related to if conditions. The second form of if is were. If there were more mangrove trees, there would be fewer floods. The second question is, in the past. In the past, of course, it's related to the past simple. People not use energy saving light bulb. Here we are talking about past habits. طبعا الدرس ده مهم جدا يا ولاد. That express the habits that we used to do in the past and we stopped it now. So we use in the past. If I want to give the negative form, I say people not use, of course, didn't use. Didn't use, to use. Didn't must be followed by use and also the preposition to. People didn't use to use energy saving light bulb. وطبعا احنا عندنا يا ولاد كلمة use here is related to the verb to be in a use or in a habit. But use, the second word, is related to use something and do it and use it more than one time. Okay, this was our last question for today. We reached the end. Thank you so much for being with me. I advise you to study hard in order to reach your goals, inshallah. Thank you so much and see you soon in a new episode.